Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about X-Men Annual 9 written by Chris Claremont and some incredible art by Art Adams. This is a follow-up story to what had happened in Special Edition New Mutants, where the New Mutants were taken to Asgard by accident because Loki actually wanted to capture Storm. He actually wanted to convert her into his own champion, into his very own Thor. The thing is that the New Mutants also got sucked into Asgard and they all got separated, and they were there for a real long time, and each member of the team had gone on their own adventures. And some of the characters actually had forgotten that they were from Midgard in the first place and thought they were Asgardian. Also during this story, Danny Moonstar became a Valkyrie. But at the end of that story, the New Mutants were able to regroup and they were able to defeat Enchantress, who worked as the enforcer of Loki in that part of the story. Now, the really weird thing is that at the end of that story, everyone on the team remembered who they were. But what we discovered in this annual is that immediately after that happened, that they remembered who they were, Loki stepped in and brainwashed them again using a spell, and they were back to having their own adventures in Asgard, thinking that they were Asgardians. On the first page, Art Adams actually gives us like a drawing of the roster of the X-Men. And that representation of the team is so emblematic. And I actually remember that they sort of swiped this image to use it as the team card for the X-Men in Marvel Series 1. So things start off with Kitty Pryde. She's having like visions of everything that went down with the New Mutants. That the New Mutants and Storm are trapped in Asgard. So now we have the X-Men finding out about the situation. So they're going to go out and rescue the New Mutants and Storm. It's super cool how they get to Asgard in the first place. Cyclops actually had stashed away these magic lightning bolts that this character called Archon used to use. The X-Men actually had a run-in with Archon, I think 1 or 2 years prior. He was like a weird fusion between Conan the Barbarian and Thor. The thing is that the X-Men had won his respect, and he actually gifted him these lightning bolts. So the X-Men are able to teleport to Asgard. We get a ton of really fun adventures. While all this is going down, we have Loki, who's trying to groom Storm. He's actually crafting out of Uru, by the same elves that made Thor's Mjolnir, a hammer for Storm so she can become his own Thor. You know, one observation I have to do about Adams' art is that I feel like in his own way, Rob Liefeld tried to riff off Art Adams a lot. Certain expressions and poses that Liefeld uses to death, I can find them throughout this story. Now that aside, the X-Men are able to find all the New Mutants. They gather their forces to confront Loki. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video on the New Mutants issue, I have no idea where Thor is during this story. Like, the X-Men do have like a brief run-in with Hela, and she decides not to fight them. And in her interior monologue, she says she has to save her energy because she has to confront Thor. So what happens is we get this final showdown between the X-Men and Loki. Loki sets Storm to attack them. Storm uses the full force of her new hammer on Wolverine, almost kills him. This would lead to Storm snapping out of the control that Loki had on her. And I have to correct myself because the run-in that they have with Hela was at that moment when Wolverine was dying. So Loki actually tells Storm, look, this is your last chance to get your powers back. And Loki even tells the members of the New Mutants that some of them had found these incredible lives on Asgard. You guys are wasting these incredible opportunities, and this is your last chance. But everyone ends up turning him down, so we don't get like this final cataclysmic battle. The X-Men and New Mutants are going to return to Midgard. But this 2-issue story leaves us with this fascinating connection that the New Mutants are going to have with Asgard from this point on.